Hey, welcome back to Road Tripping with Rachel. I'm Rachel. Thank you so much for joining me here on this road trip. So, normally, especially this past year, I've done a lot more like Bible study wise. I've done a lot more going through like books of the Bible, things like that. Plus, like my regular Advent series and Christmas series. That I haven't done a lot of stuff on my road trips. And I had to take a road trip for work here this last week and wanted to share some of the highlights. So it's going to be much more like just story time here. I got in at 2 a.m. this morning. I drove into Cleveland. I live in the St. Louis area. I drove into Cleveland last Sunday, and I had decided to drive mainly because not that I dislike flying, I dislike everything leading up to flying. Like the getting up early, trying to figure out what to do with your car, if you don't want to leave it there, getting someone to drive you. And then like I was doing all this for like my work. So the very miserly good steward part of me is like, you gotta go as cheap as possible. And ultimately I decided like I was just gonna drive. Also, I have personally had the experience of flying for a work trip and then not having a vehicle at my disposal and then being stuck somewhere when I really just needed a break from all the people. Now, luckily, I was with a group of people. They were great. As far as work trips goes, I've been on several of them at this point. This was probably my best work trip with all the different companies I've worked with. Super great group of people. They were from all across the country. We had people in there from Washington. We had people from Texas, New Mexico, Michigan, New York, Virginia, North Carolina, Ohio, Idaho. I'm from Missouri. I don't think we had anyone from any of like the southern states. But it was a lot of fun as far as like getting to hang out with the people are. But let me just tell you, this was an adventure. So my job, like my location, has a spare vehicle because we lost a salesman. For the record, I work in industrial distribution. If you don't know what that is, you need a part, but you don't want to go find it. You come to me. I find the part. I source the part. I upcharge the part to pay my paycheck, and then I sell it to you. Like I'm the middleman. But we lost one of our salesmen, and so we've had a spare vehicle because it's just assigned to our location. So my boss had said, just take that, it'll be fine. One, the batteries in the key fobs were dead, so I replaced the batteries in the key fob. Show up to leave on Sunday morning, it won't start. Now, granted, it was very cold on Sunday morning here in St. Louis. That could have been the problem, or it could have been that the battery died. That happens. Batteries tend to die more in the winter because of the cold and all that stuff. Anyway, battery died. I ended up having to take my personal vehicle. Not a big deal. Pretty much everyone who drove was in their personal vehicle. I actually would have been the exception to have had a company vehicle up there. I get up there. It is a 8.5 hour drive if you didn't ever have to stop. Of course, I had to stop. I filled up twice, and then I also had to pull over because my charger on my phone is not standard. I stopped at like 3 different truck stops and couldn't find a connection. So the last time I stopped for fuel, I was north of Dayton, Ohio, and I found a truck stop that had like an Arby's attached to it. Found an outlet, and I like chilled in Arby's for like half an hour while I charged my phone. Made it in plenty of time and basically died. Like I just went to sleep. And I'm also eating my first like real breakfast now in a week, and have like a good cup of coffee for the first time in like a week. But so we're doing all that. Ohio is also an hour ahead. They're on Eastern time. I live on Central time. So like there was a time change in there too. And then we have to be at our corporate office at 8 a.m. There were 15 of us who came in for this meeting. It was a training, week-long training for those of us who are service center managers. Service centers are like our store locations. So I've been a service center for about 6 months now. We had two people who were actually like brand new general managers, who were new to the company. So they did not have a lot of previous exposure to our like processing programs. We had a couple of customer service reps who were in there who were transitioning to being service center managers. And so they didn't have all the permissions they needed to do things. But as a whole, like we got along so well as a group. We had a lot of fun. We had really good facilitators. It was a lot of information to take in, but they actually gave us like these monster binders that have all like the notes and everything in it. And then we ended the week with a test, which, by the way, I'm probably giving away like a very important. If you miss the question, it would give you a hint to what the answer was, so then you could go back and like fix it. And you had to miss it 2 times for you to actually like completely miss the question. Every single one of us, there was one question on there that every single one of us missed the 2 times. So everyone ended up, I think, with like, it ended up calculating out to like 94.6% or something, like with missing that one question. But that was what we were up to. We ended up staying at the Drury Plaza Hotel in downtown Cleveland, which is right off Lake Erie. And it was beautiful. It was very brown. I will say that. But it was marble everywhere. And I was in a corner room by myself. We all got our own rooms just so we could have some time away from all of our cohorts. And it was very nice. They had a continental breakfast, and then they actually had a buffet for dinner. So breakfast and dinners were all covered, and then my corporate office actually provided us with lunches. But on Monday night, we actually all went out to dinner at a place called the Winking Lizard. It was like a block and a half away from the hotel. It was really good. It's like in the bottom of this like other hotel building that has all these other businesses like on the main level. And we got some appetizers to share. And then I'm more of like an app girl. I like to eat like just apps for my meal. And I went for a half order of nachos, and then I did an order of barbecue wings. Love the wings, by the way. Very, very good. I was underwhelmed by the nachos. Does anyone, all of us 90s babies, does anyone remember like the Tony's like Mexican pizzas, where it's got the red and green bell pepper diced up on it with the onion on it, but then it's like cheddar cheese on it. You find them in the frozen section of your local grocery store. Anybody? Okay, if you remember that, imagine that in nacho form. That's what they tasted like. I made it through maybe a third of them, and I was like, I'm good. I'm done. Ate all the wings, ate a good chunk of the nachos. But super, super good. Great people. I now have a lot of like resources available to me. I also learned that corporate office people really like to chat. Like they just kept it was very much like an interactive, you could ask questions, you could, and they would give examples, and some of them were like real world examples. We looked at our own service centers too for like issues that we were having, because we work with a lot of inventory and it's constantly moving, and like as well as like our cash flow and things like that. And some of them were like really good questions, like, oh, I didn't know that, or oh, hey, that's a really good idea that you could do. But we did have a couple of individuals who were our facilitators who really like to tell stories, which is all well and good until we made it to the last day. By the time we made it to the last day, I'm just like, I don't want to hear any more stories. I really don't. I just want us to finish what we're doing because I have a 9-hour drive ahead of me and I'm tired and I just want to get home. We finished at 5 Cleveland time. Mind you, 9-hour drive. So I left at 4:11 Central Time. I walked through my front door at 2 a.m. this morning. Cleveland got a bunch of snow while I was up there, so once I made it outside of Cleveland, like it wasn't bad. I made it through, I had to go through Columbus and then Dayton, and then I made it into Indiana. Zero problems. Kind of started to know that it was like getting later while I was in Indiana. Made it through Indianapolis. Great. Made it to Terre Haute. Great. Which Terre Haute is like right on the end. It's like right there. Just into Indiana from Illinois. Made it into Illinois. I'm like 25 minutes into Illinois. I called my mother, gave her an update. I'm like, hey, just so you know, like I'm in Illinois. This is where I'm at. Just because like traveling by myself across 3 different states. And all of a sudden I've been on cruise control basically since I got away from the snow in Cleveland. And the roads were all clear. Once the roads were all clear and I was on like 71 going south, like I basically had been on cruise control the entire time. I started noticing that like I'm like, wow, it looks like it's like spitting snow or something. So I took cruise control off and just briefly my brights came on. Snow. Not just snow. We're talking full on snowstorm in St. Elmo, Illinois. I had been checking the weather to make sure this wouldn't happen. Freak accident. It did. I dropped down. I was moving at like 30 something miles an hour on Interstate 70, which let me tell you, that is like a death wish. Lucky for me. I don't know if it was lucky or unlucky. I'm considering it God's blessing. But when it's that late at night, you don't have a ton of cars on the road. You have tractor trailers. And tractor trailers are big, and there are a lot of rules and restrictions that are placed on them. So all of the tractor trailers have their lights flashing. So I was able to see where I was at. Let me put it this way. I did not know where I was at. I knew I was on Interstate 70. I did not know what lane I was in. I did not know like where any exits were at. Like I passed the sign for an exit at one point, and I was like, I was more afraid to get off the road because I didn't know where I would end up at. I just don't drive in that portion of Illinois at all. Like if I had been up north in northern Illinois, I would have been more confident to get off the road. But I wasn't. So that added like half an hour onto my time. Like yesterday, I was supposed to get in around 1:30. That extra half hour, just let me tell you. But half an hour of that, and then like it started to clear. It got easier. I was passed 2 times during that half hour. One was by like a delivery van. And like it passed me. I never saw it again. One was by this like white car. I couldn't tell you what its make was. But it sped past me. Now, mind you, like I was focused on just trying to make sure I was on the road, okay? I drive past like when the snow has really slowed down and it's just flurrying again, which of course, like when you're on the interstate with tractor trailers, there's no such thing as flurries because as it hits the road, the tractor trailers are going and then it's like snowstorm just by virtue of everything that landed on the ground. But I see that car's off in a ditch. And I shouldn't laugh. Like, I'm sure it was very terrifying because they were nose down. But I was just like, girl, or dude. I don't know who was driving. I couldn't see. I didn't necessarily care. I'm just like, why would you even drive that fast on these roads, like in these conditions? I did not even hit the speed limit the rest of my trip. And that was like, it was an hour and a half out by the time I made it through the snow. After that, I'm like, I'm pretty happy at 57. Speed limit 70, by the way, on 70. I'm happy at 57. Eventually, like, I got up to like where I was like going like 67, 68. Once I was more in the St. Louis area, and then I was in the air. I'm like, I drive these roads all the time. I know exactly where I'm at. Once I made it to that point, like, I made it home, got my parking space, got my stuff gathered up. I just sent a text to my mother saying I'm home. I came upstairs, didn't turn any lights on, dropped my work computer, took my bag, headed upstairs, took enough time to change into pajamas, and then fell into bed. By the way, this was the first time I've been gone on a work trip since I've had Finney, which you don't really hear right now. He was kind of whiny. This was the first time I've been gone for like a week-long work trip. I'd been gone for like weekends and extended weekends and things like that. This was the first time it was this long. And let's just say, if you are a single girl and you're lonely, get yourself a male cat. He cuddled me like all night. He let me sleep right up against me. He made sure that I was there. He let me sleep in. Best man to have in your life is the male cat. But once again, like, I know this isn't like the greatest videos I've ever posted, but I just wanted to share that, like, I have been getting out and going, because I haven't really posted a video here in a long time. I'm going to post a photo that I took on my Instagram, and then hopefully you guys will all enjoy that, like, get a chance to see it. It's a picture of all the flags where my company has like locations. So like, we're located here in the US, obviously. We're also in Canada, Australia, and New Zealand are all the different places we're located at. So this was just a chit-chatty opportunity for me to share a story, and I hope that you enjoy it. This isn't my normal format. I am hoping to get out more on the road this year and film some more on the road videos. Get back to it, because I miss being able to do that. There's just been a lot of life change this last year. But I hope to see you all next time. Bye.